In the previous episode, we defeated the murder tribunal and then found our little investigator friend in a sacrificial pit, and I found that very funny. We let her go. We also found out that she was also feminine, and I had no idea. It was one of those completely surprised moments of like, oh, it had not been presented that way to me, so I was very shocked that this little elephant was not who I thought they were the entire time, which is totally fine. I think that personally, when it comes to anamorphic creatures in a game, so like in this case, a flying elephant lady, you kind of have to, you gotta be a little bit more direct in letting the players kind of have an idea of like who that character is. For example, if you were to take a bunch of anamorphic characters in a video game and put like, because I was thinking about this last night, so this is why I want to talk about this. If you were to take a bunch of anamorphic characters, a bunch of like rat people, let's say, and you used a voiceover on them, but it was like just like a robotic voice, you would get so little out of the performance of that character, not because of the robotic voice, but because you aren't able to really connect, you know? And I feel like what Baldur's Gate 3 does really well, and what many other games do really well too, is actually the greatest example of this is Cal Kestis in Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order. I think Cameron does a great job of doing the voice on that character because you get a sense of who that character is, not from the performance of the animation, although that helps. Some of it is pretty good, but there's some pretty okay animation in Jedi Survivor, whereas the voice acting is phenomenal, and that comes through with that. And I was so confused when I learned that character was supposed to be feminine, because it's like it felt like it came out of nowhere. Like they weren't telegraphing that to me at all through the voice acting, and not that they need to, not that it's an intentional thing. It's just an interesting conundrum when it comes to finding a correct voice for a character that tells you who that character is. And again, something Baldur's Gate 3 generally does very good with. Astarion, great example. You know who that character is because his voice actor does such a good job. Gale is a great example of that too. And that's why it stood out as like not that the voice actor, I actually have no idea. I could look that up because that may give me an indication of like why I was confused on that one. But there's a point at which you have to consider how androgyny works in games design. We're gonna get rid of Astarion because we're gonna bring Gale with us here.
Need something?
And I think that Dragon Age Inquisition did a good job of this. There was a character that was with Bull, so with Iron Bull, and they show up in the tavern and whatnot as you're playing through the game, and you get to talk to them, and you learn that they are androgynistic, and the person they chose to do the voice acting for that was a perfect casting, because it was that sense of like you got the sense of you're not really sure, and that's what they were going for.
What's on your mind?
But I found that from my experience yesterday with this, I never forgot her name. It's like Valeria or whatever. They didn't, the voice seemed very masculine, which throws you off when they don't give you any other indication on who that character is. So it's from a game designer point of view, as a person who just worked in game design, this is one of those things that I would consider a very huge, important thing. Here, join me. A very important thing when considering a voice actor to come in and do a voice is like what actually embodies that character and telegraphs to the player, because they can't see the actor usually unless it is mocap, and even then we're not quite there on tech. But it's just fascinating. I was thinking about that all night last night. I was like, I love that character. I felt like, not that the game betrayed me, but that the game didn't give me the indication of what, or maybe I missed it. Actually, that's a better way of putting it. It could be totally on me. Maybe I totally missed the telegraphing of who that character was. And wasn't actually confused. I was just completely lost in making assumptions. Fascinating conversations to have, especially in this day and age. And I like that, I like that Elephant happened to be a feminine character. And I think that the assumption that they were male is definitely on me for sure. Okay, so let's look here. He gets a bunch of new levels, 6 spells, right? Yeah, so he gets his level 6 spell slot, but he gains 2 spells here. So I have a couple options that I could probably take away for some of this. Let's choose our level 6 spells first, and then we'll see what we need to remove. So Arcane Gate creates 2 linked teleportation portals. Freaking great. What a good spell for our group. Because we can... Okay, let's take that fight as a perfect example. You had the dude up top, and then he started running away. If I used Arcane Gate to just gate us all up there, a mostly melee team, beautiful. Because then we could just focus them down. We actually may need to do that coming up, too, so it might be a good option. Chain Lightning, though, is so good. Strike an enemy with lightning. 3 more bolts will leap from target to target, electrifying as many as 3 other enemies within 60 feet. Really good. Circle of Death sculpt a massive sphere of entropic energy around a creature. Devastate the target and all surrounding creatures. Interesting. Create Undead. Yeah, we know. Disintegrate. Really, really good spell. Shoot a thin green ray from your finger. If the 50 to 100 force damage reduces the target to 0 HP, it disintegrates into a crumbly ash. This is hyper good if you're fighting an enemy that resurrects things, but otherwise, blah. Eye Bite. I don't know why that tooltips keep going away. Your eyes become black corridors. There we go. Walled in teeth. Your gaze capable of inflicting deep dread, sickness, or oh my goodness, go away. Or putting creatures to sleep. Interesting. So basically, put characters to sleep. Flesh to stone. Entropy of foe, restraining them until they temporarily return to stone. Globe of invulnerability. Create a barrier that makes creatures and objects inside it, oh my goodness, immune to all damage. Ooh, that's really good. Okay. It's a freezing sphere. Create a ball of churning ice that can be launched instantly to generate a frosty explosion or store it for later use. And then irresistible dance, cause a creature to start dancing, making it unable to take actions or move. Its attackers have advantage on attack rolls. Sunbeam, beam of brilliant light, sears and blinds all creatures in its path. Damn, that... Is it considered sunlight? It's called Sunbeam. Blinded Sunbeam. Can recast Sunbeam. It says Sunbeam. Whether or not it's considered actual sunlight makes a difference, because if it is, that's very good against vampires. Wall of Ice. Raise a wall of solid ice that deals 10 to 60 cold damage to anyone standing in its way. All those are really good. We're going to grab Chain Lightning, because Chain Lightning is one of my favorite spells. I really like Globe of Invulnerability. That's an interesting spell. Arcane Gate, an interesting spell. Reminds me of... this is such a small amount of people watching this video. Whoever played Heroes of the Storm in a competitive sense would know this, but Medivh had a little portal that he could throw down, and anyone who clicked on it could gate through. Any ally that clicked on it could gate through it. And there was clever plays where you would like pop a gate down over a wall and have your entire team just gate through and just absolutely destroy a dude and then gate back through. It was awesome. There's a lot of cool plays with that. Kind of feel like we need to do that. I like that. I like that concept there. All right, so in that case, let's get rid of knock. And where is it? False life. Yep. So we will add those two in there. I know we only have one spell with it, but flexibility is key, I think. Okay. Did I give him? I did. I gave him something that's slightly better. Okay, +1 bonus spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Yeah, that is better. He also got this. Gain +1 bonus to spell save DC. I think that's still pretty good. You can cast Mage Hand as a bonus action. I mean, he ain't got any gloves, so he may as well wear that. Okay. I'm pretty happy with his little thing he's got going on. Let's close that out. Okay. I did want to talk to him real quick. So let's click on my duders.
Despite everything.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'd like you to meet me at the Mystra Shrine. We should hear what she has to say. Or we could just go there. I think we go. Should I rest? I probably should. I use a lot of resources. Okay, so one thing that I want to loop back to is I'm curious, just as like a general poll, did you think our good old flying elephant friend was masculine or feminine? I'm really curious if I'm the only one that did not catch that. Because now I feel kind of silly if I was. But like the name never gives it away. It's Valyria, whatever. It could be a dude. It doesn't matter. I feel like that's a fairly androgynistic name. But there's nobody wants to talk to us. Yeah, it's just a very confusing character to me. Again, nothing wrong that character is feminine. I don't care. I'm still doing that. Let's get rid of all of this. Let's just select a pack. Yeah, I got very confused, and it's been bothering me. Like, was that just me, or was that the game doing a bad job of presenting me with who that character was? Okay, let's go Aura of Protection, convert critical. They all have. Where did she go? She's walking down there. I don't think anybody actually. I thought the last time I was in camp that I saw someone who needed to talk to me, but there's nobody popping up there, and that's relatively confusing. Is this where we needed to go? Is this Mystra? Statue of the Gods. Where's this go? Oh, it's right here. Okay. All right, Gale. Should we do it? I think we should. Let's just hear her out. See what she's got to say. If I can see through the ribbons.
There she stands, just as Elminster promised. Mystra, goddess of the weave, mother of all magic.
The old man wasn't lying. She's opened the summoning channel. Can't you feel it?
No.
Gale's right. The very air around the statue crackles with magic. It sets your teeth on edge.
A stream of pure, undiluted weave. I only have to reach out, and it will carry me to Mystra, wherever she may be.
Go on then, Gale. We'll be here waiting for you when you're finished.
Aw, Karlach.
Time was, I'd have given my right arm for a chance to speak with Mystra again. The left one, too. Maybe a knee.
You're ready for this, Gale. You don't owe her so much as a fingernail. She asked you to blow yourself up. I don't think she's that kind of goddess. You know what? You're ready for this. You got this, buddy.
Am I? You're right. I am a strong, capable wizard. And this is no more than a casual reunion with an ex-lover. My omnipotent, omniscient ex-lover. I always wonder what being nervous would feel like. I hate it.
Do you know what you're gonna say to her? Of all things to be nervous about, an audience with a goddess seems reasonable. Why do you care if she thinks of you? Or why do you care what she thinks of you? Or pull it together. You're going to make a fool of yourself otherwise. You know, let's ask him. What is he going to say to her?
During my time locked away in Waterdeep, I prepared a quite comprehensive speech for her on the subject of our former relationship and the manner in which it ended. Alas, recent events have rendered the majority of it moot, so I'm going to have to improvise. Unless you have any words of wisdom to impart before I go.
I might. Let's see. You're not taking me with you? Don't make her squirm. Tell her the crown will be ours soon enough. Seek her forgiveness, and it might be your only hope of curing the orb. Don't give anything away. Just find out what she has to say. Or you shouldn't go to her, Gale. Don't give her the satisfaction. No, you're not taking me with you?
The summoning channel Mystra has provided is one only I can enter. No matter how much I prefer not to face her alone.
Look, this goes back to what I said when we first came across his option to blow himself up. Like, I like giving the characters around me the anonymity and autonomy to do what they do. So if he wants to blow himself up, whatever, he blew himself up. We got the achievement for it. I never saw that coming. It was fun. If he wants to go alone, you know, he's his own little character. He may be an NPC in the games that I am playing an RPG a part of, but you know, let the NPC play the NPC. I would say just find out what she has to say.
You'd make a fine 3-dragon anti-player, you know? I think it's best I keep a cool head going into this. Approach it like a particularly high-risk round of 3-dragon ante. I'll let Mystra show her flight, and then I can see how strong a chance we stand of winning the gambit. I'll only be gone for a matter of moments. The Outer Planes experience time quite differently to our own. Wait for me. Please.
Sure. He's going to come back a different person. He's going to have like a streak of white in his hair, you know? It's going to be like a rogue. Wait, is it rogue? Crap, I'm so not caught up on my X-Men knowledge. It is rogue. It is rogue. Yeah.
Gale of Waterdeep. You look well.
As do you. But I assume we're not here solely to exchange compliments. So why am I here?
You discovered what lies at the heart of the Absolute, the crown of Karsus. And you disobeyed my instruction. Why?
Because you had no right to ask that of me. You cast me out. Remember?
You were my lover, my chosen. Yet still you know so little of me. The past cannot be undone with self-pity, nor can a future be forged. Only with the truth will you see the way ahead. The fragment of magic you tried to return to me was not of my creation. It was the Karsite weave. It is a corrupted, half-born magic, wrought in the brief moment Karsus ascended to godhood. It hungers for power, just as he did, and it can never be sated. You unleashed something that would consume all magic in existence, and yet you thought only of preserving yourself.
So that's what you're scared of. With the crown of Karsus reforged, I could take control of the Karsite weave.
You can no more control the Karsite weave than a weather vane could control a storm.
I believe her on that.
That it entered your body and consumed no more than your powers was a miracle. But we will not be granted another. The only reason the orb sleeps is because I have allowed it to feed on the true weave. A temporary measure, but one that will not be enough to save us. With each day that passes, the Elder Brain threatens to become a new kind of god. Its worshippers, a scourge of soulless illithids. If you will not use the orb to end this abomination, then you must find a way to separate crown and host. When you've done this, you must surrender the crown of Karsus to me.
A great ask indeed. You've given me much to think on, as you always did.
So be it. Follow the needle of your own wisdom. We shall see how truly it leads you.
I got a bit to say about that. We'll get through this though. Quick save successful. All right, he wants to talk to us. So before we talk to him, two things. Number one, I'm surprised they let me see that. For a game that is totally okay with you missing out on a bunch of content, just because you didn't do things a certain way, or you did things a certain way and it causes you to miss out on a bunch of stuff. I am surprised that that they let you see that, because he's not a character I am controlling. And I think that if it were I, guiding that decision, it would have been like, no, don't. If the player is not playing as Gale, or if the players, it's a multiplayer thing. If the players do not have a Gale player, don't let them see it. And what would happen is Gale would disappear, and then a moment after, he'd flash back, and then there you go. And those players would definitely feel like, oh, they kind of cheaped out on that. We don't get to actually see who Mystra is. But then there would always be that little, that little thing in their brain going, wait a second. Does Gale get to see that? If you play as Gale, do you get to see that? And have it so that, he would be able to if you were playing. I think that would have been a cooler way to do that, but it definitely is a lot more limited. Second thing, when it comes to Mystra, I was actually surprised they just full on gave her a character model. I was expecting something a little more ethereal, and I kind of feel like it ruins the perspective of like, oh, she's a god, when she just has like a character form. Because I was actually kind of distracted by it, being like, oh, this is the character model that they chose for her, it was odd. That's like a weird complaint, but I think it's a valid one.
Back on mortal soil once more. I can't believe I saw her. After all this time.
You didn't seem happy to see her. I'm not gonna lie. You actually seemed a little disturbed. I'm not surprised. Her power felt overwhelming even from here.
And what you felt was but the slightest drop, drawn from the rushing torrent that is the weave. I confess, without my former prowess, even I struggle to stand her presence.
You're so cocky.
A mortal body of such unfettered magical exposure cannot be overestimated. She held back in order to protect us, to make sure I heard her. The Karsite weave, within me this whole time. I knew the orb was no ordinary ball of magic before it to be Karsus's malignant creation. Gods! How did I not see that?
It's not your fault. You weren't allowed to know. It's all too easy to miss things when we're blinded by desire. Damn. Because you acted like the idiot and paid the price for it too. Let's kind of tread the line here between being a jerk and not.
True enough. There's a reason such unwitting heroes have been the backbone of lyric and legend for as long as both have existed. Even so, I was hardly some naive apprentice at the time. I considered myself an archmage, and yet was fool enough to be mistaken for a common conjurer. At least now I'm armed with the truth, and Mystra's expectations. Sounds like the door to redemption is open at last. All I have to do is walk through it, carrying the crown of Karsus.
Don't do it, my man. Is that what you want? That's a good question. Then we need to take the chance. You deserve to be cured, Gale. Or when you put it like that, it sounds rather easy. Or sod redemption with the Karsite weave and the crown. You could be a god. Let's ask, is that what you want?
Perhaps. I see few other options open to me. If I ever want to reclaim those parts of myself the orb snatched away. If I ever want to be me again.
We're going to cure you, I promise. You're a great man, Gale, with or without the orb. A better incarnation of you, I hope, not the impulsive wreck who unleashed the orb in the first place. Oof. And then what? What will you do? Or, I thought you more ambitious than this, Gale. Why settle for mortality when immortality is on the table? I'm not going to try to lead him with that. I'm going to say, you know what? You're a good man. With or without the orb.
I'll have to disagree with you there. Having not one but two parasitic entities within your body does very little for one's faith in one's personality. Still, I should take the compliment with the same generosity it was given, so thank you. If I could promise you one thing in return for your faith in me, it's this. I will use everything in my power to ensure we defeat this evil. I will not let you down.
You know what? I will take that.
I believe we've a date with an elder brain to get to. Shall we?
Yeah. I'm going to start calling this elder brain Brainiac because I feel like that's a that's a formidable a foe to put a name onto. All right, so we can go down to the Temple of Baal here. Now, I could do that. But we have a couple options to us. First off, I need to investigate the Blushing Mermaid. I also want to do Cazador's Palace. Am I ready to do that? I am fresh-faced right now, you know. Maybe we go do Cazador's Palace now. But that means what we do next is the Blushing Mermaid. Then we go disable the Steel Watch. Now, I have intentionally spoiled myself a tiny bit. My wife is mostly through the lower city in her playthrough. I've been completely ignoring all of her spoilers and whatnot. But I did ask one thing. I said, because she told me today that she finally disabled the Steel Watch. And so I asked her, where is it? I don't want to know how to do it or where, you know, what I'm looking for, whatnot. Just where is it? And it was like off on this side of the city. So I'm going to head off this direction after we do these two things, I think. But we definitely need to go back. I like having Gale with me, but just like we just did with Gale, we're about to go do some vampire stuff. Don't know why I said it that way. So we're shut up, don't make fun of me.
How can I help?
Stay here.
I question the wisdom of I'll be here.
Because I think Asterion.
So, who'd want to hold a power like the crown of Carsus in their hands just to hand it to someone else?
I see how he is.
I know what my decision would be, but we're all different, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So. I need him.
Darling, I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah, I feel like
Lead on.
having Asterion with us is going to be really good. Because I want him to confront Cazador. Unfortunately, what this also means is that he's probably going to make some really stupid decision that I'm going to have to stop him from doing. And that's going to be our life coming up here. Where is it? Oh, we just got to go off over here. That's actually not a bad run. By the way, I see that this is still saying find a way to access the Temple of Baal. And I looked in there for stuff and I couldn't find anything. So I'm pretty sure we just need to go forward. If not, let me know in the comments if I totally missed something. In which case, I will go back in there, look around after we're done with Cazador.